Hi, I'm on here real quick to do a quick little tutorial, hopefully, on how to make these identification cards. Um, I'm just using some little images from an Etsy file that I purchased a while ago, and I just printed them out and cut them down. I did um, use a distress tool to kind of rough up the edges, and the tool that I used is this little Tim Holtz tool, and I just ran it along the edge. Of course, if you don't have a fancy tool like that, you can just simply do the same thing with the edge pair of scissors, with the edge of a pair of scissors, and you just run it along there like so until it gets roughed up, and that is how I distressed this photo. And you could take it a step further. I have this little tool with a piece of sandpaper on it. This velcros on. Of course, if you don't have this little tool or these little sanding dots, you can just use a regular sanding paper, and you can just scratch on it and it will like rough up the edges, see, like so. It will look like it's worn. And that is how I distress my pictures. This picture is printed on a matte photo paper, and that's what I printed all of these on. Anyway, then I am going to take a index card, which has been coffee dyed. So here's my index card that has been coffee dyed, just like this one. This one I did put a shimmering spray on there. I just squirted it on there and let it air dry, but because I didn't do that to these, then I'm just going to show you with one that hasn't been um, done to this point anyway. So then I'm going to take, I like to highlight the edges, make it look a little more worn or distressed. So I'm just going to use Tim Holtz Distress ink. This is Ground Espresso. You can't see it because I store it like this so that when I do that, you can't end up seeing the lettering. But that's what it is. That's the color that it is, I promise. And then I'm just going to take my distress tool with the sponge on it and go around the edges of my index card. And this just highlights that aged look. So that is what I'm doing on that, and that is what I did on this one here. And I took out the stamps that I would use for this. Instead, I have a lot of stamps, and instead of uh, getting out all my stamps, I just took out the ones that I use because they came from different sets. So my stamps are stored in their original packaging like this, and then I stick them in a album, like a 3-ring notebook binder, so that you can see them. So that is how it is. So I just went through and took out the stamps I want. I don't know the name of this stamp set because I purchased most of my stamps on Temu because they're cheap there. I just scroll through and pick the ones I like. But they do make some similar ones by Stampers Anonymous. Anyway, that is where I got my stamps, and then I just used the acrylic block. I'm actually going to use my archival inks by Ranger, so it's permanent and it's waterproof. And I do that because then if I decide later to spray it with the shimmering spray, I can do that, and I know that my ink will not run. So that is why I choose to use permanent ink. I'm going to use black because it shows up the best on the coffee dyed paper. And I simply just wing it. I don't measure anything. I don't have any special thing. I just ink it up and stamp. I eyeball everything. So You just press until you get a good image, and ta-da! I clean all my stamps at the end of my session because I don't have, if I'm doing, especially if I'm mass making a whole bunch of them, then, there's no point in cleaning them because I might use them again and again and again. So, it's not even, but that's okay. It doesn't matter to me. And in the end, it looks good most of the time. If I am really off on one of them, then I will go ahead and, you know, turn it over and do it on the other side or something. But normally I can get pretty close. And if it's good enough for me, if I don't mind it, then I would imagine not many other people would mind it either. So I just kind of stamp. I'm kind of using the one I've already created as kind of a guide on where I'm going to stamp because I've already made a couple of these. So I kind of already know what I am doing. I'll change it up. Sometimes I'll put in a different stamp here or there, or, try a different heading or something. But, it's whatever you like and whatever stamps you have. And you just create it until you're happy with it. So I'm just going to quick stamp some of these so that I can move to the next portion of what I do with them. And we're going to put a signature down here at the bottom. There. Okay, so then I will take, once I'm done with my stamping, and we're going to pretend that I am done with that part. And I'm going to take my ruler, which is right here, and I'm just going to take a liquid pen. This is just a liquid magna pen. It just writes black ink. And I am going to make lines so that I have a defined area from where my picture goes to where the writing is, like an ID card. And I'm just going to draw it on there. Just like that. Well, there is still a little gap right here, so I'm going to go ahead and put another little line right there just to even it up, make it look like it's meant to be that way. And then here's my photo. I'm just going to glue that on there with this is my Sugar Belle bottle. My glue of choice is Fabri-Tac. That is what's in this bottle. And I just put it in the Sugar Belle bottles because it is easier for it to flow out. Fabri-Tac especially gets pretty thick. So it works great in the Sugar Belle bottles. And that is my glue. Oops. And then I'm just going to line this up. Ta-da! That is that. That identification card is pretty much done. Now I did back all these on 110 cardstock after I took it to my sewing machine. So that is what I would do next, would be take it to my sewing machine, and then I'll just simply glue it to my 110 cardstock and cut it out. That is my simple and easy identification cards, and how I made them. Here is a quick peek at all the ones I've done. And I think they're adorable. Now I could go back in after I get done and do some extra stamping to get onto the edge of the picture, but that's not necessary. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So these are the ones that I've created, and thank you, and hope you enjoy this quick tutorial.